It was Christmas Eve. A night for joy, a night for families, a night for giving. The streets were filled with laughter and the warmth of togetherness, but for 83-year-old Eleanor, it became a night of terror, a night that would haunt her memories forever. Eleanor, a kind soul with a heart full of Christmas spirit, was alone in her cozy home. She had always loved Christmas, the decorations, the music, and the joy it brought. Lights twinkled on her Christmas tree, casting a warm glow throughout the room. The aroma of gingerbread filled the air, a scent that always reminded her of happier times. She was wrapping the last of her gifts, humming along to Christmas carols, when a sudden knock on the door shattered the peace. It was unexpected, and her heart skipped a beat. At the door stood a woman, later identified as Heather Nelson. The sight of her was both familiar and unsettling. Nelson, a home healthcare worker, had been assigned to care for Eleanor's husband a few months prior. She was familiar. She seemed trustworthy. Eleanor had welcomed her into their home many times before. Little did Eleanor know that this seemingly harmless woman was about to turn her Christmas Eve into a nightmare. The trust she had placed in Nelson was about to be shattered. With a disarming smile, Nelson asked to come inside. Her demeanor was friendly, almost too friendly. She claimed she needed a bonus for her services, a Christmas gift of $500. Her request was bold and unexpected. Eleanor, ever generous, was hesitant. She wanted to help, but was taken aback by the amount. She didn't have that kind of cash readily available. Her savings were modest, and she had to be careful with her expenses. This refusal was met with rage. Nelson's demeanor changed instantly. The friendly facade vanished, replaced by a menacing glare. Eleanor's heart raced as she realized the danger she was in. Nelson, fueled by greed and an insatiable desire for more and a complete disregard for the festive spirit, forced her way into Eleanor's home, shattering the peace and joy that the holiday season was supposed to bring. What was supposed to be a season of giving became a terrifying ordeal for the elderly woman who had always cherished this time of year. Gone was the cheerful caregiver who once brought warmth and comfort. In her place stood a menacing figure, twisting the spirit of Christmas into something ugly and cruel, a stark contrast to the joy and love that should have filled the air. Nelson's demands for money became aggressive, her voice rising in anger and frustration, her voice a harsh whisper that chilled Eleanor to the bone, making her feel more vulnerable than ever. Eleanor, frail and caught off guard, was no match for Nelson's physical strength. She felt utterly helpless. She watched in horror as Nelson ransacked her home, tossing aside cherished decorations and family heirlooms in her desperate search for cash. But Nelson wasn't finished. Her greed knew no bounds. The true extent of her Grinch-like behavior became clear when she turned her attention to Eleanor's purse, rifling through it with a ruthless determination, snatching not only the cash inside but also the elderly woman's checkbook and a stack of Christmas cards, each one a symbol of love and connection. Cards filled with heartfelt messages and warm wishes from loved ones were now in the hands of a woman who had abandoned all sense of decency, leaving Eleanor heartbroken and desolate. The violation cut deep, leaving an emotional scar that would take a long time to heal. Eleanor, shaken and bruised, could only watch as Nelson fled her home, his footsteps echoing in the hallway. The stolen Christmas cards were a cruel reminder of the trust that had been broken, each one a symbol of her shattered peace. The joy of the season was gone, replaced by a fear that clung to her like a shroud, suffocating her spirit. That night, as the Christmas carols continued to play on her radio, their once comforting tunes now felt hollow and distant. Their cheerful melodies only served to amplify the silence in her home, a silence that was now filled with sorrow. The twinkling lights on her Christmas tree seemed to mock her pain, each flicker a reminder of what she had lost. Her Christmas wish, once so simple, a peaceful evening filled with the warmth of the season, now lay in pieces, scattered like the broken ornaments on the floor. The violation extended beyond the physical assault and theft. It was an invasion of her sanctuary. It was a betrayal of trust, a heartless act that cast a dark shadow over the spirit of Christmas, tainting the holiday with a sense of dread. The Christmas cards, meant to bring joy and connect her with loved ones, were now tools for Nelson's selfish gain, a painful reminder of the night her world was turned upside down. News of the attack on Eleanor spread quickly, shaking the community and prompting a swift response from law enforcement. The case landed on the desk of Agent Kevin Sherrill, a seasoned detective known for his sharp instincts and unwavering dedication. Agent Sherrill, a man who understood the true meaning of Christmas, felt a surge of anger and determination. This wasn't just a theft, it was a personal attack on a vulnerable member of the community during a time meant for peace and goodwill. He vowed to bring Nelson to justice. His first lead was the stolen checkbook. Sherrill knew that criminals like Nelson often acted impulsively, driven by immediate needs. He was certain she wouldn't resist using the stolen checks for long, and he was right. Agent Sherrill's hunch proved correct. Nelson, blinded by her own greed, had indeed used the stolen check and credit card for a spending spree. She treated herself to new clothes, expensive dinners, and even a luxurious spa day, all paid for with Eleanor's hard-earned money. Each transaction, captured on CCTV and recorded in bank statements, painted a damning picture of Nelson's callous disregard for her victim. The more evidence Sherrill gathered, the clearer it became. Nelson had planned this, exploiting her position of trust to take advantage of a vulnerable woman during the holiday season. As the evidence mounted, so did the community's outrage. The story of Eleanor's ordeal spread like wildfire, turning Nelson into a real-life Grinch, a symbol of greed and heartlessness during a time meant for compassion and generosity. The net closed in on Nelson quickly. With irrefutable evidence in hand, Agent Sherrill and his team apprehended her just days after Christmas. The stolen Christmas cards, some already used to make fraudulent purchases, were recovered along with other stolen items. News of Nelson's arrest brought a wave of relief to the community, especially to Eleanor. Though the emotional scars of that night would likely linger, the knowledge that justice would be served brought a sense of closure. Charged with robbery, assault, and fraud, Nelson faced the full weight of the law. Her attempts to justify her actions fell on deaf ears. The judge, like everyone else following the case, saw her for what she truly was, a Grinch who had tried to steal Christmas. The story of Heather Nelson serves as a chilling reminder that the holiday season, while a time for joy and celebration, can also be a time of vulnerability and caution. It highlights the importance of vigilance and awareness and the need to protect the most vulnerable members of our communities. But beyond the crime itself, the story offers a glimmer of hope and resilience. It showcases the unwavering spirit of individuals like Eleanor, who, even in the face of adversity, refused to let darkness extinguish their Christmas spirit and joy. And it underscores the dedication of law enforcement officers like Agent Sherrill, who work tirelessly to ensure that justice prevails and that Grinches like Heather Nelson are held accountable for their actions.